Many years ago, I met a very wealthy person, and I asked that person what inspired him to become wealthy. His answer really surprised me. He said, money is a game, and the man with the most notches on his belt wins. I was shocked. I was a young man at the time, and having grown up without much, I wanted to become rich. Yet after hearing this person's response, I looked deeper into his eyes, and frankly, he didn't seem at all that happy, and the sense of lack of balance in his life was very apparent. He was out of shape and had kind of that look in his eyes of anxiety, loneliness, and even anger. I could tell that he had stepped on a lot of people to get where he was. How about you? Do you think that being financially wealthy takes putting yourself first and tramping over other people that get in your way? Do you think that being wealthy means putting the lust for money ahead of everything else? Well, I've met a lot of very wealthy people who give back to the community, have large circles of friends, and always seem to be abundant in so many other ways. And if you ask that type of person the same questions, you'd likely get this sort of answer. They'd probably say wealth is simply a vehicle to magnify your deeper personality traits. If you're a good person, access to resources will only make you a better one. If your nature is negative, it will also magnify your unhealthy attributes on the downside. Wealth has the ultimate power of leverage. Nothing is truer about becoming and deciding to become wealthy. It's a magnifying glass into your soul, so to speak. And I've tried to model myself after this philosophy, never forgetting that money is simply a means to achieving larger and greater things in life. After all, if the only reason that you're pursuing buckets full of money is to swim in it like Uncle Scrooge did, you may find yourself the richest person in a very unhappy world. Wouldn't it be nice if you could simply decide to be wealthy and it happened? Well, let me fill you in on a big secret. You can. You already know the basics. You know that you should pay off your debt and start budgeting. You know that all you need to do is regularly invest money into your savings and maybe some stocks and things like that and let it do the work for you. You also know that you need to spend less, save more, build your investment portfolio. You've heard it time and time again. Then if you've heard it, why aren't you on the way to becoming wealthy? There are many reasons that people don't take action. Even though they have the information, so many people are just simply afraid to change. Fear takes a lot away from a person. They don't want to fail, but when you buy into fear, it will take you down that path for sure. Here's the key. For things to change for you financially, you have to make a change. Otherwise, you'll continue to keep producing the same results you've always been producing. Does that make sense? Now, this may come to as a shock to you, but most people really don't want to change. Give them a beer, point them toward the TV, set them on the sofa, give them a few snacks to eat, and watch some television, and put the remote in their hands, and that's really all they want. They'll continue to complacently live out their lives. Most people are much too busy earning a living and surviving to become financially free. They spend the majority of their time focused on what they don't have and what they don't want, on how to, pay the bills instead of focusing on what they do have and what they do want in their lives. Now, I know people, as I'm sure you do, that love having the drama of being, up to their ears in debt. It's like a balance beam that keeps excitement in their lives, I guess. But at such a huge cost. Why don't they realize that they can't maintain that balance forever? And at some point, you have to decide where to get off. Sometimes it's at the end of your life. But I've often wondered, as I'm sure you have too, why two people with the very same background and experience, in the same type of business even, one gains wealth while the other barely survives. What determines the difference between someone who earns $50,000 and someone who earns $500,000 a year? Is it their education, their experience, The amount of money they already have, or is it simply a lucky break? One of the things I discovered in my career is that successful people do things in a different way. To put that another way, they do things that the majority of people are not willing to do. Most people have been conditioned to believe that creating wealth is difficult, or that it's only for the lucky few. Let me ask you, what do you believe? Everyone wants greater financial success, but the statistics say that most will never have it. Get this. This is shocking. According to the Social Security Administration, the average retired couple has less than $7,000 in savings. At retirement, 45% will depend on extra money from relatives for their survival. 30% depend on charity. 20% will still be working, and only 5% will be self-sustaining financially. Wow. I don't know about you, but I find this unbelievable and even frightening. Now, I'm sure people never believe or even think that this would happen to them, but the statistics say it will. So according to statistics, at age 65, you'll still be working for someone else with no nest egg to retire, or you'll be depending on relatives for survival. Now, I don't think people plan for this to happen. No one in their right mind would ever make a plan like that. They don't sit down and make that plan. They simply don't have a plan for it not to happen. They convince themselves that someday that they're going to be a success, to start their own business, to make a financial plan for their future, to have all they want in life someday. Someday. What an interesting concept. Think of all the things that you were supposed to have happened by now. That someday that you convinced yourself was just around the corner. Now, to most, that someday is where they've convinced ourselves that we would be right now if only, we had more money or more time or more talent or more education or maybe a better opportunity available. How about you? Is your level of financial success today where you thought it would be 5 years ago? So before going any further, I would urge you to stop right now and take a realistic look at your last 5 years. Have you truly made progress? Are the last 5 years what you wanted? Are you where you thought you would be today, 5 years ago? And most importantly, do you have a solid plan for the next 5 years? That is the key. Now, you and I both know that there's no guarantees in life, but what I'm going to suggest to you is probably what you've already concluded. For things to change in your life financially, you have to make a change.